Good morning, welcome to your favorite news and current affairs analysis program that's Inside Pages on Metro Television. My name is Audumoro. It's a pleasure coming your way. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, but not a very exciting Saturday morning, and I think that your guess is as good as mine. I'll tell you why. But first of all, let me say Inside Pages is essentially it's a program where we look through the pages of the newspapers and come up with the most topical issue for the week. And what we do is that we invite the right guest and then we ask them the relevant questions. And this morning, Inside Pages is going to be looking at that big, massive blockbuster of an issue which came up this week. And it has to do with a 36-page report, which was authored by a former Minister for Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation, Professor Frimpong Boateng, where he talks about or he indicts government appointees and also some members of parliament for interfering in our quest or in our efforts at fighting small-scale illegal mining. There have been many reactions, and we'll walk you through some of those reactions. In fact, some of the reactions have come by way of lawsuits. It's something that just happened in less than 12 hours. And I'll be sharing all of that with you. My name is Audumoro. Thanks for tuning in. When I come back from this break, I'll throw some more light on this very vexed topic. Well, welcome back. This is Inside Pages on Metro Television. Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, just gone by was the reporter's block. The reporter's block essentially deals with the compilation of the big stories for the week. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, back to the main subject matter for today. We're looking at the Frimpong Boateng expose, the bombshell that talks about the persons who are government appointees, but more specifically, who are making a work at fighting illegal mining a difficulty. And that's what we're looking at. And as I also said to you, there have been many reactions that have come up following the release of this revelation of this report. Let's watch some of those reactions. And then when I come back, I'll be introducing my guest.
Na watch me nuni nipa na oya minister ana Galamsey nsem ni adeade o hwe so o si ano ni adeade ono kasa abeka se Galamsey a omo ye no eye MPP mpanyimfo no na eye sa Galamsey no ezu we nyame na America onwa Dr. Frimpong Boateng omo minister ena aka se omo ya Galamsey no eye MPP mpanyimfo no ebi wo Jubilee House ena omo ye wo enti o hwa ebe every MPP ba aban ebetra aban mu ye kwaya na ye makwan ema obi antimi nra kwaye bu ena de omo nra kwaye no mu asese kwaye ni nyina Eza Abra NDC waba mu Kofo Abreso Rollins Abreso na yekase Hamatan aba onte yente was the hero so ne bibia ni ha onso enenso de obeka se tamale enti ona kasa agye atum se omo ena ye Galamsey no na omo yenso a na omo yi obi esi nchen ekese omo aka na omo nya Ganafo omo kwa yese community mining ni na omo DC omo MP omo ministers omo nyina na techi etimi nipa excavator se wo de ye Galamsey ne de akoma MPP ni non de ode ye djuma yan kwada omo ko juri kakra so enya bibie di ne achi omo ne de omo akoto efiase Meanwhile, I'm paying for the Omoye, and so be to make Chomo.
It is sad to know that Ghana today has a commander-in-chief who sends soldiers into harm's way for parochial gain. Major Mohammed's death and the misuse of Ghanaian soldiers by this Galamsey government is another reason for a public inquiry into the Frimpong Boateng'S Galamsey report. The Frimpong Boateng'S Galamsey report has indeed shocked the conscience of the nation. And no amount of half-witted and half-hearted explanations from the presidency or government can whitewash this great infamy. President Akufo-Addo's complicity in this whole scandal has been further magnified by the fact that this stinking report has been on his desk since 2021, 2 years ago. Can you believe it? Yet, he has woefully failed to act on scene. We are of the view that the only way to establish the truth and get to the bottom of the issues contained in the Professor Frimpong Boateng'S Galamsey report is for Parliament to institute a publicly televised and bipartisan inquiry into this report, which essentially is an obituary of President Akufo-Addo's monumentally failed fight against illegal mining. The special prosecutor on his part must act with alacrity by probing the Frimpong Boateng'S Galamsey report and prosecute all government officials, MPP functionaries, and persons who have perpetrated serious crimes against the state as contained in the report.
To Shraj on Tuesday, April 25, by lawyer Nikpapo Samoa Addo, requested for a public hearing. Lawyer Samoa Addo told journalists after the presentation that the petition was received directly by the Commissioner of Shraj. He hoped that the issues raised in the petition will be thoroughly investigated and findings made public.
Once we meet the threshold of the qualifications that must be met in respect of the petition, we would push for a public hearing so that every single person who has been mentioned, who is affected, or who has relevant information to give to the Commission will come and give the issue the needed relevance. Please note that matters to do with the Galamsey menace is a threat to our water bodies and a threat to human life. And so it actually is an existential issue that we must all take into account and take seriously. It goes beyond the issues of corruption and allegations of conflict of interest that have been made against certain public officers. Our concern is the degradation of the environment. That is a human rights issue which actually goes to the right to life.
I found that action a bit weird. Seriously speaking, and whether this same report was delivered to the president, whoever received it and has shelved it, there must be an internal investigation as to why the report had been shelved till this thing. Look, it is a fraud on the part of whoever handled that.
But the presidency has explained it.
The explanation,
yes.
The explanation to me, Randy.
That's what makes it even murky.
Yeah, the explanation to me, Randy, where I sit, let's be fair.
Yes.
Look, this is a very serious fight where the president has put his second term on the line. So no appointee of the president will have an excuse. I'm told that the response has it that the report was an informal report. Even if it's a radio comment by anybody mentioning senior members of government and is not officially written to the president, somebody should have the president's authority to be able to cause some immediate investigation.
Oh, that's it.
As to whether the report got to the table or the desk of the president or not, I don't know. But if indeed there's an evidence that this report was delivered and somebody received it, then they should investigate why the person kept the report for that long. It's not healthy for anybody, and you can't even explain. It was a 37-page report. It means the person must have taken his time, energy, resource to be able to produce the report. Because it's mentioned places even though most of them are factually incorrect.
Let a process establish that.
Exactly. So the process must establish that.
Yeah. And Professor Frimpong Boateng is not just an ordinary Ghanaian who is talking. This was the man in charge of the fight. And he has not only written a report and kept it under his bed, he's presented it to the presidency and indicated that he is ready to substantiate the claims. In fact, for some of the claims, he has even given us evidence, pictures, videos, and so on. He has messages and so on to prove. And so we must get to the bottom of these issues. You see, the Jubilee House today is a crime scene. It's a crime scene because key elements at that Jubilee House have been indicted in this report. And therefore, you cannot be relying on their flippant denials. What is required is transparent, credible investigations. If they are not guilty, let the investigations show so. If they are guilty, let the investigation show so. Day in, day out, illegal mining is on the ascendancy. It has now become a free-for-all enterprise for higher-ups in the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government and the ruling New Patriotic Party. Frimpong Boateng says, from the national level to the unit committee level, from the presidency to ministers to MPs to DCs in the NPP, they are all doing illegal mining indiscriminately. No wonder that our water bodies today are more turbid than they have ever been, more polluted than they have ever been. Our natural vegetations are all being lost to the selfishness and the greed of these people. So, Doc, like I said, this is an issue that borders on our collective survival. You can't sweep this report under the carpet. What is required is a public inquiry. And we have called on Parliament to do so. Some have expressed pessimism, okay, but I want to give Parliament the benefit of the doubt. If for nothing at all, they did a marvelous job relative to the Sputnik V vaccine scandal probe.
All right, so those were the kinds of reactions that greeted this bombshell of a report on Galamsey, authored by Professor Frimpong Boateng. We've heard the NDC's position. We've heard what the MPP is also saying. Let's also hear what the family and relatives of the president in Chibi have also been saying about what Professor Frimpong Boateng stated in that report, that right at the backyard of the president's hometown, this Galamsey, what's happening. And this is very, very important, instructive. This is what's happening. We're talking 2021. Let's watch what happened when some journalists decided to visit there to see for themselves what the current state of affairs.
On page 29 of his report, former chairman of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, indicated that illegal mining activities were extended to the president's home in Chibi. He claimed he received a telephone call from one Eric Entry at the office of the president, who informed him that the youth organizer of the NPP in the president's hometown, Chibi, was excavating gold in a field close to the president's house, which led to the destruction of the president's garden. He again indicated that, upon further checks, the claims were true. The former chairman of the IMCIM said a bulldozer and an excavator were dispatched to the area to reclaim the land and vegetate it. Despite the extent of damage, he alleged, the youth organizer was not held responsible. 2 years after this allegation, Metro News is back in the home of the president in Chibi to validate the claim.
Come out there no nukuri bi ani. If you say wa ba yi kura so wan say Prof for boban wa ha. E kwan we na nyina de car enam so before 2017. Na utumi drive twem wa ha. Mbukwa mo be kura say police for the bi mu asana mo ba. Ya close our gate from 2017. Be si me no ye kase. Anti nwanwa say police for boban wa ha. Na fe Obi beka say president fie ye Galamsey ewa matra chebi krom ho 40 years and over near if you amadi ha gra from 90s no na me wo fa na netifia say me yesi hey more than 40 years and me yesi hey more than 40 years We share New Year's more than 40 years. And see, while by our do any share, then it's the pass. Ya Galamsey wa. And if say Professor Frimpong Boateng'S and as we think Bisa, no could be him. Me see structures are hanging no, they are more than 40 years. Me wafa near friend in my lawyer. Na me funny currency ha and anoti. Into a baby diagra, Sasama Hati, I more than 40 years, and may see way. Now, when be the president is so sensitive that, and he loves nature to the extent, say, even say New Year's this way, so what choke crass well Bunahaba and Bakopecrana a problem. And how come say Ubia, the Bobby say, and as Ubia or dot a body na Obama quite say, ye me too, a good year, oh, Nifio, I Nifie. The best say, Bibi won say, as I saw one Cassavian or settle, on or problem be or party in manas or ni penny be problem or party anymore. Or no one sees no one yes, and trust some more as and fantasy won't aid.
The presidency headed by President Akufo-Addo will not countenance that. The president will not countenance any interference. If there's one person who's been committed to this fight against illegal small-scale mining, it is President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. I've worked with him closely, and I mean closely and closely. And I do know that his commitment to this fight is totally unflinching. And indeed, it will be scandalous, and it will be far-fetched, and it will be impossible for President Akufo-Addo to interfere in the fight against illegal small-scale mining. Indeed, on the contrary, he is the man who is giving me all the courage, who's giving me all the strength, who's giving me all the backing and authority and mandate to go frontal in dealing with this matter. We are dealing with life and death issues here. Ghanaian people are losing their lives as a result of illegal small-scale mining. Our river bodies have been polluted. We, as we speak, we literally cannot boast of a river body which we can confidently say that this is a river body which is fit for purpose. Our forest cover has been depleted from 1910 to date. 80% of Ghana's forest cover is gone. We are talking about climate change. We are talking about erratic rainfall patterns, which is affecting agricultural production, which is affecting food security in our country. So these are weighty matters that I believe that we need to continue to work to be able to come to grips with these matters.
Sorry about that. So we're just coming back from the residence of the family house, let me put it that way, of the president, His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, where they've been reacting to reports that the Galamsey has been happening in his backyard as far back as in 2021. You heard what the family has said. The family has denied it. This is not true. Nana Akufo-Addo will not tolerate such a thing. We have some questions for our media friends as well, but that will come up, I'm sure, in the course of the discussion. But a few things have happened, again, which I didn't throw some more light on. The first one is that there's been a reaction from the presidency, and I'm going to read to you the statement. And also, Gabi Asare Ochedakun, who is a private legal practitioner, but of course, we all know his proximity to the president, I mean, their family. He's actually filed a lawsuit. It's a defamation lawsuit where he's asking for 10 million cedis damages. And I'm also going to read to you what the content of that lawsuit as well. And then I'll come back and then we can start a discussion. But let me also say that we have assembled some great minds to help us navigate this very important conversation. And let me just say that a member of the NDC's legal team and one of the reputable and popular and affable, how do you call it, communicators of the NDC, that lawyer Godwin Edudzi Tamaklo has joined us this morning. He's a very busy man, but he's taking time off his very busy schedule to join us. So we're grateful. Counsel, thank you very much for joining us this morning on Inside Pages.
Moro, good morning, and good morning to your cherished viewers.
Right.
And whilst we wait for the other panelists to come. Okay. For real action.
All right. And also, lawyer Kingsley Amwakwabuedu is also joining us shortly. In fact, he's here. He'll be taking his seat in a few minutes' time. Let me do this. Let me read to you what the response of the presidency is. And that came 24 hours after the Frimpong Boateng report. Now, this is what the presidency is saying. Again, sorry, but before I read this, let me also say that Mr. Ken Ashigbe, who is the convener of the Coalition of Media, he's the convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, will also be speaking to us briefly. And then also Dr. Solomon, who is based in Colorado in the United States of America, very, 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 very well vexed in mining. He's also got some very interesting perspectives that he'll be sharing with us as far as this particular matter is concerned, all the way from the United States of America. Now, one of the reasons why we've called him, because he's been on this tangent for a very long time when he's been talking about the fact that this fight against Galamsey is not something that will win unless, of course, we take the bull by the horn, because there are some persons within the government who would make it very difficult for that to happen. So we'll speak to him to find out whether he feels vindicated by what has happened recently with this report. Now, the attention of the office of the president has been drawn to a publication in the media ostensibly quoting from a document authored by the former Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation and chairperson of the erstwhile Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, that's IMSIM. So anytime I say IMSIM, I'm talking about the committee. Now, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, which allegedly imputes wrongdoing on the part of some government appointees in the fight against Galamsey. At the outset, it must be pointed out that the document being discussed was not an official report. And I need you to note this. It is not an official report, the presidency tells us, formally delivered to the office of the president. On the contrary, it can only be rightly referred to as a catalog of personal grievances underlined, and claims made by Professor Frimpong Boateng intended to respond to some issues he faced as chairperson of the IMSIM. The document was handed to the Chief of Staff at the Office of the President on March 19, 2021, in an informal meeting where Professor Frimpong Boateng complained about public attacks and criticisms made about his tenure as chairperson of IMSIM. This was after Professor Boateng's tenure as minister had not been renewed by the President of the Republic in his second term. The document did not have a transmittal. Again, I needed to note this. It did not have a transmittal or cover letter, nor indeed an addressee, such as to suggest that it was submitted to the Chief of Staff for action. It is noteworthy that the IMSIM was a creature of cabinet, and any formal report on its activities would normally be submitted to cabinet through the cabinet secretary or directly to the President of the Republic as chairperson of cabinet. To date, Professor Frimpong Boateng has done neither. Yeah? It is important also to point out that whilst Professor Frimpong Boateng makes serious allegations against some government appointees as having been involved in supporting or interfering with the fight against illegal mining, not a single piece of evidence was adduced or presented to enable the claims to be properly investigated. Indeed, the allegations contained in the document are at best hearsay. It is instructive that since Professor Frimpong Boateng's meeting with the Chief of Staff in March 2021, he has taken no step nor acted in furtherance of the matters contained in the document. The President commitment to fighting illegal mining is unassailable, and the Office of the President welcomes any information on illegal mining activities which provides a credible basis for investigations to be conducted by the Criminal Investigation Department of the Ghana Police Service. We continue to count on the cooperation of the general public. Let me speak to Mr. Ken Ashigbe now. Dr. Ken Ashigbe, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Inside Pages.
Thank you very much.
Wow. Right. Now, as the convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, when you saw this report the first time, what jumped at you when you read the report?
Well, it was not surprising, but it was shocking, because a lot of the things that are mentioned in that report are things that, had come to our attention, So is it an issue about the fact that there are people of influence and in government who were involved in the Galamsey? That's not surprising. Was it the fact that there was some leadership struggle? That's not surprising. It's one of the things that as a coalition, we had pointed out that, you had constitutionally mandated bodies to run some of the things, and then he had formed an ad hoc committee, and there were issues that were involved in it. As if for the fact that the Forestry Commission was granting entry permits, you know, and were not cooperative when it comes to the fight against the Galamsey. That's not surprising. Let me give you an example. The Forestry Commission, for example, they are the only institution when we were dealing with the issue of heritage imperial. We wrote to the Minerals Commission, the EPA, and the Forestry Commission asking for information about that. They failed to respond. We wrote again to them. The Forestry Commission have not been an ally in the fight against, this illegality. So that was also not surprising. But you then look at the fact that this report was presented in 2021 and nothing had been done till the president hearing the professor asking the police to look at it. And grave things like cabinet instructions being given, directives being given, and people flouting them with impunity, it definitely was surprising and was shocking. And then the challenge you then face is that the report is coming at a time where the impunity is on the rise, and so you look at it and you're hoping that this would draw all of us to say that enough is enough. You have the person who actually chaired this committee, coming out to come and tell you things. I'm not too sure transmitter letters and addressees are the most important things. Are we saying for now that if somebody, we are in a country where we have the whistleblowers law, that if somebody even blows a whistle, we're supposed to deal with it and protect the person. How much more you have the chairperson of a committee, give you a report that is laced, with accusations. And so what you would hope that would happen is that those who have been accused, you should bear in mind that they are innocent, till proven guilty. You want to give them an opportunity to clear their names. Those who are culpable, you want to make sure that you investigate and you punish them severely. That's the institutional framework that are weak. You want to make sure that you re-engineer them and you make them effective. So for me, I think that we should be doing better with this report than we've done, because the calamity that is facing us, this is ecological suicide that we are embarking on as a country. We have people who are involved in, environmental terrorism. Our waters are now filled with heavy metals. And sometimes some of you sit in Accra and the big cities and you think this is far away from you because you are not close to it. Unfortunately, I saw a report of the Ancobra and it's showing the level of heavy metals that was taken at the estuary. And all of that water is going into the sea. The sea, the small, the fishes in the shallow waters would eat that. The bigger fishes will come and feed on that. And they will end up on you and our plate. And we know the heavy metals, they don't, biodegrade. They bioaccumulate. And so, no wonder you are getting, the doctors tell us that the age at which you are getting kidney failures is on the rise. The number of people getting kidney failures are also on the rise. We're seeing a lot of deformed babies. We're seeing a lot of stillbirths in some of these areas. So and as a country, our water situation is perilous. All our water bodies have been destroyed. And so it is important that all of us take this thing as seriously as we ought. And I'm surprised as civil society, I don't think in this particular case they have jumped up to the table to be able to ensure that all of us can force the state agencies to do what they ought to do so that we can at least halt the crises that confronts us.
The president talks about, indeed, when you read the response of the presidency, it talks about the fact that the presidency would readily welcome any credible information that would form sufficient basis for government to look into the activities of persons who are making it difficult for us to fight against Galamsey. Now, when you hear the presidency say such a thing, does it give you hope that the commitment on the part of the presidency is as unassailable as we're being told in this press statement?
So there are a lot of information in that document that should warrant the presidency to commit to dealing with them. The issues that have been mentioned in there. You see, it is, if the people are innocent, we need to prove them to be innocent. If they are guilty, we need to deal with them. The issues of governance, the lack of, proper governance of our state institutions that are mentioned there. There are people who are, the allegations have been made about people who have flouted cabinet directives. So these are credible information that should, warrant the deal, these issues to be dealt with. So we hear the president say all the time that he's committed to it. I think this is one of them. And for me, one of the major call I have at this stage is to say that, we should form, it's not enough to have a bipartisan and just get only the politicians, dealing with this. It should be a national commission or committee. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know what the difference between the two. But we should form a committee or a grouping that is national in character, can have representation from, both sides of the divide, but also have professionals in there, have, credible Ghanaians. We could get people from academia, we could get some people from the religious bodies, CSOs, and even the media. Sit on this report and then also invite people to provide evidence of people who are involved in the illegality. The government should commit that when this committee is formed, they should commit that they would implement the recommendations of this committee. If we are not going to have the situation where a white paper would be issued afterwards, to completely rubbish every recommendation that is going to come out of this, this committee. And we should hold this, inquiry very openly, and make sure that we resource it with enough, investigative power to be able to look into these things, so that we would, I'm telling you, the number of people who call me, by virtue of where I sit, and tell me things since this report has been issued. The question I ask all of them is that, are they prepared to come out? Come out and give evidence when this happens. There's a forest, how do you call it, in Sefi. And there's some people, very influential people, who have people mining for them in the forest reserve as we speak. A lot of the forests that we are currently talking about, that, how do you call it, are red zones, there are people mining in them, and people are protecting them and allowing them to mine in them. So when the good professor talks about the fact that, Heritage Imperial, for example, had how do you call it, exploratory license, but they were engaged in mining, and the professor provides you with aerial footage that will show you that this is not exploration. You don't take how many excavators to go and do exploration. That is definitely something that you need to look into. So I think for me, my suggestion to the president is that there is enough evidence in there, for him to ask, he's asked the CID to do it. I think, but beyond, the CID, we need to get a committee, because some of the things that have to be done, the capacities that are required goes beyond that of the CID. And already, if you look at most of the surveys that have been done, the trust that Ghanaians have in a lot of state institutions are at all-time low. So you need a vehicle that would get the trust of people, so that Ghanaians will come. I don't know whether you've seen that video of some men, young men who have cutlasses, who are saying that they are also involved in the Galamsey. They don't have excavators and all of that. The reason why impunity like that will happen is that they see, people who are powerful, who are influential, engage in this, and nothing happens to them. You remember the Akonta mining incident? How do you call it? We petitioned the IGP, petitioned the AG. The IGP has referred it to, how do you call it? The Director General CID. But this is, somebody involved who is the chairperson of the ruling party's, regional,
Ashanti region,
in Ashanti region, the chairperson of it, right, involved in such, in such an act, that the minister responsible for lands and natural resources calls him out And then you have the regulatory body, Minerals Commission, also confirmed that this person is involved in an illegality. What has happened to it? You know the situation of the Bosume Frehon, former DC or MC, who confessed, and was caught on tape, confessing to an illegality. What has happened to him as well? And so if we don't start applying, the Lee Kuan Yew principle where he hits the big ones, what will happen is that the people on the ground, like those young boys, who will be killing themselves, themselves with all of these heavy metals and all of that, thinking that they are doing something right, they will continue doing it. But once we start hitting those influential people, and you remember that when John Peter Amewu took over, there was a document that was published, some intelligence document that was published that named some influential people. What happened that it stopped? Right. What happened that it stopped? Okay. So we need to ensure that, we're dealing with the 20% or the 10% of the people who are causing 90% of the problems. Right. It is not those people in the fields that are the challenge. The challenge is actually the head, the causative, leadership that is causing all of this that we need to deal with, not the effect.
Okay. All right, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, I want to thank you very much for accepting to talk to us on Inside Page. It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much. But you see, where I have come to is that all of us need to do our best, and I'm pretty sure that in the coming days, the coalition will be seeking to register the coalition, and hopefully we will start taking legal actions against people who have to take action that are not taking it, people who are also polluting our water bodies. We will start gathering, evidence and be able to start at least some civil actions against some of these institutions. Okay. And I think that civil society, academia, we all need to stand and be counted. I think the time has also come for us to start letting our people know, linking the Galamsey, the effects of it to the deaths that they are seeing in their communities, to the pains that are coming to them, because they are not able to draw these linkages. If we do that, what is going to happen is that you will find out that the masses will start pushing against Galamsey. The politicians and democracy then will respond to where the masses are. Currently, what we've done is that the people themselves are aloof. They are suffering the repercussions of this ecological suicide that is going on, but they are not able to link them up. And so we have allowed these criminal few to now be, paying their way and capturing, state institutions and getting away with that. So I'm urging all of us that we need to start acting in the media, but beyond all of that, whatever religion you belong to, I am a Christian, I am a Catholic. One of my prayers is that God, as I act to try and fight this, make sure that you will expose everybody who is involved in this illegal trade. And also make sure that those who have the power to do it and are not doing it, you punish all of them. May their children never benefit from the monies that they are gathering. But they themselves also never benefit from what they are gathering. They can't keep on killing us. And then they will be sitting and benefiting from this. So I pray that all of us, we should act, because God will not do the thing that we ought to do. But the ones that we can't do, we should call on to God to ensure that when they go to sleep on their pillows, they don't get any sleep.
All right then.
Thank you.
Doc, thank you. Have a good day. Let me come back in-house. Lawyer Godwin Editor Tamakolo, help us appreciate. I'm sure you've seen the suit that's been filed by Gabi Asari-Ochidakun, who is a private legal practitioner, member of the New Patriotic Party, but also the lawyer for Heritage Imperial. Help us understand, what does Gabi want, and how justiciable is this lawsuit?
Also good morning once again to our cherished viewers. I think that even before I get to that point, I need to make it clear that, you see, we are dealing with a government that had decided to use hype, sensationalism, sloganeering to solve the problems of this country.
Right.
And in so doing, they have become very abysmal, spectacular failure as far as the issues that concern Ghanaians are concerned. Look, right from the word go, Mr. Akufo-Addo was not interested in fighting the Galamsey menace.
Then why did he set up the INSEM?
What he saw with the Galamsey thing was an opportunity, as it were, to cannibalize the small-scale mining industry for the sole preserve of MPP officialdom. Now, what they have done in the process is to become what I call environmental terrorists. Check all our river bodies, their state as of December 2016, and the state of those river bodies today. The difference is like night and day. That is Akufo-Addo's terminal report. If Akufo-Addo were to be a student, and after 4 years, 6 years, leading this country, in fact, misleading this country, if you were to ask him of his scorecard, the economy, terrible, nothing is happening under his watch. Today, the respected professor, the heart surgeon, the cardiothoracic medical doctor and professor of medicine, Professor Frimpong Boateng. And look, I urge Ghanaians to go and watch the video. The day Mr. Akufo-Addo announced Frimpong Boateng as the Minister of Environment, Science and Tech, and the good things he said about him. What it means is that in this conversation, Frimpong Boateng is more credible than all the people, including Akufo-Addo, put together. See, I have a copy of the report with me. I've read it. It's just 36 pages.
Right.
And if you read the 36-page report prepared by him, the irresistible conclusion that one gets to is that Akufo-Addo is an accomplice in this whole Galamsey menace.
How does he become an accomplice?
In fact, it also suggests that the president is a promoter of this Galamsey thing. You see, the accounts have a saying, and it's quite profound. You see, opinion out na fie. Emma emofra edwa nanka no ye ka nanka dwafo a oka hu bi
nanka wefo a oka
hu bi.
Okay,
sir, that saying in account is applicable with all necessary modification to what we are dealing with today. See, this report didn't go to you, not me. It went straight to the office of the president. And you see, at the office of the president, from the president, the vice, the next in line is who? The chief of staff.
Right.
It is upon the basis of the requests from the chief of staff that this report was generated. And in fact, if you come to page, one of the pages, Frimpong Boateng puts what elicited this report from him.
Yes.
And he said this report was prepared following an order.
Yes. From the chief of staff.
From the chief of staff.
Right. Before you go, I beg you, following an order from the chief of staff, before you go ahead, let me just there's something I was supposed to do. I've not done that yet. If you have any contributions that you intend to make to the show, it's 0244 097934. 0244 097934. That's your WhatsApp line for you to send your messages to. Share your opinion and your views on the Professor Frimpong Boateng's report, which has become a very topical matter the whole of this week. What do you make of it? Have you given up on the fight against fighting illegal mining, or you still think there's some hope? So whatever it is that you're thinking, 0244 097934. Let me also say that Lawyer Kingsley Amwakwa Budu has also joined us. He speaks for the New Patriotic Party. He's also gracefully joined us in the studio. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
I didn't hear the accolades you gave.
Oh, okay.
My younger brother.
So, Lawyer Kingsley Amoakwa-Boadu is one of the most affable, hardworking.
Because then it becomes his PR.
Astute
and then you
lawyers.
end it and say that you should look out for him in the future.
in the NPP, he's a fantastic gentleman. Thank you very much, Johnny.
You know, there's something unique. You have no idea.
Right.
So when I was at the law faculty,
what happened?
My senior here used to come there with Dr. Ayeni.
Right.
So they were teaching us natural resource together.
Oh, so that's your former teacher?
Yes.
Oh, I see.
And not only that, we ended up in the same law firm.
Interesting.
Yeah. So this one, until he moved on, I'm still there. He moved on.
And he's now a partner. And I have my own law firm. And our former boss is a very good friend.
Right.
Yeah, so we maintain that
relationship. Yeah, so you're talking about the fact that this report was based on the request by the Chief of Staff.
Was generated, and the man starts by saying that I was ordered or an order from the Chief of Staff. Further, I was instructed to present a brief report to the presidency on the Galamsey progress and the way forward. So this is not a report that you can just dismiss it by saying it is hearsay. The man says, in a meeting, the president was there. I was there. Sir John was there. How is that hearsay? That's an eyewitness report. I was there. The president was there. Sir John was there. And what was the discussion? Akufo-Addo as chair of cabinet. On the 4th day of March 2019, the cabinet under Akufo-Addo came out with this confidential memo: suspension of prospecting license for mining companies in 47 forest reserves. Signed, Mercy Deborah Kakari, Secretary to Cabinet. So as at the 4th of March 2019, Cabinet, where Mr. Akufo-Addo is the chair, had come out with a suspension order against the issuance of prospecting license. Now the man says, look, in a meeting where the president himself was and Sir John was, may his soul rest in peace, I told the president that, Mr. President, this your fight against Galamsey, this man here is undermining the work. What was the president's response? Nonchalance. Reticence.
He said you would look into it.
Reticence. This report was given to the presidency in 2021. 2021. Sir John died when? Look, see, what we should take note is that if you pick all the details and the things that have been stated by Frimpong Boateng, pictorial evidence of the level of destruction to our distance. Look, one of the things Mr. Akufo-Addo did when he became president was to take the oath of office that the laws of this country, I shall do what? Respect and ensure that the laws of this country are complied with. That was the oath of office he took with the Bible in hand. Article 36(8), it says, the state shall take steps to protect the environment. It's a constitutional obligation on the state, and he is the head of state. What has he decided to do with the Galamsey fight? I mean, look, our president had acted with respect, without shame, relative to this Galamsey fight. Look, this is a president whose agencies, Minerals Commission, Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, have made a preliminary faulted a company owned by his Ashanti regional chairman, Chairman Wuntumi, Akonta Mining. Minerals Commission said, look, Akonta Mining, you have no right to enter this particular forest. That was further confirmed by the ministry itself. The next time the president was in Koforidua, he was defending Akonta Mining. What a shame. What a shame. Your agencies are investigating the entity. At least wait for them to finish with their work. Let them come and say, oh, Mr. President, after our preliminary fault finding, subsequent investigations has established that Akonta Mining is not engaged in any form of distraction of the particular emerald forest or whatever they call it.
Right.
Then the president, you are armed to go public. But even before the official report will be done, the president was out there saying, hey, no, Akonta Mining, clearing agents. When you do such things, it suggests that you are becoming an accomplice in this illegality. What is even more worrying is that look at the president's hypocritical stance. Frimpong Boateng goes to GBC, does an interview with GBC. Immediately the interview comes and the man says, you know what, the Galamsey thing, people in the presidency are involved. He uses the word Jubilee House. And he says that people are involved in this whole thing from the Jubilee House. What happens? The next time the president says, oh, CID, come and investigate. Everything Frimpong Boateng said during that GTV interview has been with the president 2 years ago.
Right.
So what pricked his conscience suddenly? Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. So, look, if you pick this whole Galamsey, and listen, thankfully the two of us here are lawyers. Our practice sometimes enjoins us to write letters for and on behalf of our clients to state agencies. It's a thing, it's a normal course of dealing as far as we lawyers. In fact, sometimes we place calls. Okay. Why? If I'm involved in a matter with my senior here, nothing precludes him from picking a phone and calling me, Edwige, this. Is there any way out of it?
Right.
Nothing precludes him. But you see, look at the segments that involve Mr. Gabi Asare Ochre Danku. And I have heard the conversation by him that, oh, you know what, I just called him
to seek clarity.
To seek clarity. That's not true. And you see, Gabi should have a certain respect for Ghanaians. If he has no respect.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. Sorry about that.
If he has no respect for the people who killed.
Yeah.
If he has no respect, excuse my language, for the people who joined the queues relative to voting for the MPP.
Right.
At least he should respect the generality of Ghanaians. In his own claim, he said that it is his junior, one Edem, who is on the Imperial Heritage file.
Yes.
Okay. And that the junior is the one who had been dealing with that particular kind of file. Why do you think Gabi himself now decided to escalate the conversation directly to the minister? It was to peddle influence. It was to tell him that, Mr. Minister, I'm watching you. Yes. Look, let Gabi not take Ghanaians for a ride or fools. We are not. The fact that we have been quiet does not in any way mean we don't know what is going on. Gabi is effectively the de facto prime minister. Effectively. So when he picks a phone call, and look, globally, everybody knows that there are two kinds of cabinet. What we call the kitchen cabinet and then the main cabinet.
Right.
The kitchen cabinet is the most effective. They are really the deciders. As for what you see in the open, it is just the normal reflection of what they have done. You know, the accounts will say, you understand? What has happened in the spiritual realm, that's what manifests in the physical. Those are the principal advisors of the president. So when Gabi decided to escalate the call, he was sending a direct message to Frimpong Boateng that, look, I am, or better still, I have an interest in what you are pursuing. And what is his response? See, let me tell you this. If you watch the videos associated with the destruction of the forest by Imperial Heritage or Heritage Imperial, whatever it is, when, like Gabi, your uncle or cousin, the president, has said he is putting his presidency on the line. Aside his own life, I'm sure the next will be the presidency. That is what he has put on the line. So in terms of priorities, that is one of his biggest priorities. Why would you want to even be associated with such a thing? 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 22 also. It says, everything is lawful, but not everything is what? Expedient.
In fact, when you read the report, there's a portion that reads, it says, what saddened me most was when Mr. Gabi Ochedaku called to defend a company that was actively destroying.
What page is that, please? What page?
Oh, I'm looking at the. So first, I'm quoting from the suit because Gabi himself captures that portion. All right. You know, yeah. I think you have a copy of the suit as well. It says,
no, that's page
what saddened me.
16.
What saddened me most was, and then he says, I was expecting people such as Mr. Gabi Ochedaku, Captain Koda, and others like them who knew the president better and certainly had his interests and success at heart to support the fight against illegal mining. I was thus horrified to receive a telephone call from Mr. Gabi Dakon telling me he was the legal advisor to Mr. Donald Entia and his Imperial Heritage Mining Company, and that the company should be allowed to work in the Krobo and Apaprama Forest Reserve. I mean, just to buttress the point you're making.
And listen to what he further puts. He said, we were ready to dislodge Imperial Heritage from the Kobro Forest when Mr. Gabi Asare Ochedaku called to inform me that he was the lawyer for Heritage Imperial Limited, a company that was destroying the Kobro Forest, Apaprama Forest Reserves, and in the process has also polluted and diverted the course of River Ofin. As you can see in the satellite images below, this is what the presidency led by Mr. Akufo-Addo described as hearsay. How is this a hearsay report? I have gotten a phone call. How is that hearsay? How is that hearsay? I have gotten, he's not saying that Gabi called my subordinate. No. He said, called to inform me. Me. It was a call placed to Gabi, to Professor Frimpong Boateng himself.
Right. So like you, like Frimpong Boateng, he sees this as influence. But let me come to Mr. Kingsley.
But you see, right from the beginning, you even asked a question.
Right.
You see, I believe that, listen, the right of any Ghanaian to access our court is as fundamental as any right.
Right.
Right? So, Mr. Gabi Ochedaku reserved the right to go to court if he feels he had been defamed by anybody. But you see, one thing that should be clear to him, that there's overwhelming public interest in this thing. And so no attempt should be made using the court process to guard people. Listen, do you know, if you go to Dr. Congo today, mining of lithium and cobalt had destroyed livelihoods is the source of the armed conflict, the never-ending armed conflict there.
Right.
So these issues about Galamsey goes directly to people's source of livelihood.
Okay.
Tomorrow, as we speak, Ghana Water had come out with a report that by 2016, if they were using $10 million to get our water treated for the various households, the cost of doing same had increased by 7 times.
Okay.
Why?
Okay, let me do this. Let me speak to Dr. Solomon also. Now, Dr. Solomon also, and I want to get how do you call it? I want to get his title very, very correctly. Now, Dr. Solomon also is so he's an international, in fact, he's a mining engineering and a mineral economics consultant all the way from Colorado. He's got some very interesting views to share on this matter. Now, one of the reasons why we called him up, because he's been on this crusade for a very long time, and at some point was almost giving up because he felt nobody was listening. Dr. Solomon also, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Inside Pages. Economics consultant. Dr. Solomon also is joining us via Zoom, and we hope that we have a clearer line to him now. So once we sort it out, we'll come back to Dr. Solomon Osu and speak to him. But let me, okay, do we have him? Okay, great. So Dr. Solomon Osu, can you hear me? He's joining us via Zoom. Okay, so he can hardly hear me. I mean, he can't hear me now, so we'll sort it out. There's a technical challenge. We'll sort it out and we'll come back to him. But let me come to Lawyer Kingsley Amakwa Boedu, who is also is a member of the MEP's communications team. Now, 2 fundamental questions have been asked, and we still haven't had any convincing answer to that, or compelling answer to that. Now, one, which is, why did the president keep this report with him, or the presidency keep this report with him from 2021 till now and said nothing about it? It had to take a GTV. Interview. Subsequent to that GTV interview, then this report is leaked by a US-based media practitioner, Kevin Taylor. And then after the Kevin Taylor expose, the report was then leaked to everybody here in Ghana, and we all got wind of it. And then the president now says the police should act, or the CID should act on this matter. And as Godwin Tamaklo said, why are you now asking the police to act on something you've had for the past 2 years anyway? You know, and that's the first question. The second question is that people have asked, as far as this report is concerned, is that why didn't the president act on it in the first place? I mean, first of all, why didn't the president let us know that such a report had come to him? And again, why didn't he act on it? So those are the 2 fundamental questions that people have been asking since this matter came up. I don't know whether you have any response to that as well. And then you can tell me your general views about how the public has reacted to this report.
Okay, thank you very much. And good morning to our cherished viewers. Good morning to my Asin Central constituents. Today, I'm going to surprise you.
Okay.
I'm going to surprise you in the sense that as a natural resource lawyer and lecturer, I'm going to be
That's your forte, actually. That's your area, natural resource lawyer.
Yes, I teach petroleum law and mining law. I'm going to be agreeing with Eduje and all other personalities and persons who are, raising issues about seemingly limited progress in fighting Galamsey.
Yeah.
You see, all of us these are grave issues, very grave issues. Eduje was saying that we use the money that we're going to be using to desalinate water is increasing. It is not even that. It is that if we're not careful, we will be importing water.
Okay.
That's what the issue is.
Right.
All right. We'll be importing water.
That's how serious this is.
That's how serious it is. Besides that, we are talking about, the other time I was here, we were talking about whether we should go to IMF and what took us there and whatnot. All right. If we look at this industry, the whole mineral resources we have in Ghana, and attach the importance there is to it, we may not want to go and borrow any money from anywhere.
Okay.
All right, because we are the 6th largest producer of gold in the world and number 1 in Africa. All right. It used to be that gold was in Ashanti region, Western, Eastern, and Central, the Njoboase area.
Okay.
Now gold is everywhere, in Boliga and everywhere, you see. And so there's a lot, and we just discovered lithium. Okay, and so every battery that needs to be charged, and we now have that. We have several things. So we need to pay the necessary attention to the natural resources God, in His own wisdom, blessed us with. Okay? Now, my point of departure from Eduji's approach to it is the politicizing of it.
Right.
And laying blame at the doorstep of His Excellency.
But you don't agree that fighting Galamsey is a political matter?
It is not a political matter.
You don't think so?
No, it's a national matter.
Okay.
All right. When you politicize, and I've heard you played when I was coming here, I've heard His Excellency, and I always refer to someone who sat on the seat of presidency. You have to give them respect. I think at times Eduji just says Nana Akufo-Addo. No, it's His Excellency John Mahama. He was talking to the people of Ghana on a campaign trail, and some of the commentary he gave makes it that they have, and Eduji started that trajectory that the small-scale mining was subsumed and taken over and given to party cronies, and that when NDC members are arrested, they're imprisoned, and then the DPP members are freed, and when they come, they will release them, and that is not how you fight.
You don't think this kind of commentary helps in a fight
at
against small-scale illegal
because
mining?
you see, I grew up in the mining area. I grew up in Takwa, okay, in the 80s. The resilience of the small-scale miners, and by the way, there is legal and illegal mining.
Right.
At times when we say Galamsey, it makes it muddy because Galamsey could be legal in a sense that Galamsey is gather them and sell, corrupted to Galamsey, gather them and sell.
Okay.
So if the person has a license to engage in small-scale mining, that's also gathering them to sell.
Right.
What we're talking about is illegal mining.
So there's both legal and illegal Galamsey.
Exactly.
Okay.
So let's not use the Galamsey to
mean that to connote illegality.
Exactly.
I get it.
But let's touch on illegal mining. And illegal mining has no party color. It has no party color. All right. And these are some of the problems that we face as a nation, that we should fight it as a nation and not with party coloration. All right. And Eduji, I don't wish that your party comes into power in 2024. I don't wish. I want us to break the 8. If it so happens that you come, you will notice that there are a lot of people who joined your train with parochial interest. A lot of people. So when you win, then they are now fixing themselves within the crack holes to do things, and then you would say that because uneasy lies the head that wears a crown and everything stops on the decks of the presidency, then he is the one engaging in it. Galamsey, or illegal mining, you should see the resilience of the people who engage in it. They never give up. They go in, some of them die in the 80s. Some of them, you see, they entered the Takwa gold mines, the abandoned shafts. There's no ventilation. They go and stay there for 2 weeks with just Gary and probably herrings, what we call our money, for 2 weeks, and come with the rocks, and come and pound the rocks, then mix it with the mercury. Mercury in itself, handling it's poisonous. Then they will get the money and come and sell it.
So that's the thing to which they would
want to go. And I have lived with them, I said in the 80s when I was growing up. So a fight against such people. And then in the 80s, after all that, you may get 400,000 cities. 400,000 cities. And then they will rent 3 cars. They will sit in the middle. The taxi behind has their hats. The taxi in front has his walking stick because he has the money. So you come out on Thursday, sell it Thursday. He's blowing the money, as we say colloquially. By Tuesday, Wednesday, he's at your doorstep asking for money, for you to lend him money. The money is gone. He's just squandered it. And then because he knows that at any point that he can go and dig again and go through, and some die. Some of the shelves collapse on them. So they know the dangers. They know if you see their skin, because they've handled all these things.
But Kingsley.
So, wait.
Okay.
So, they know the dangers, and that is the fight. Okay?
Right.
Then now you have other foreign nationals and whatnot coming in with excavators and Sinn Féin and things like that. That is the fight. That fight cannot be conquered, or you cannot win that fight within a few years. So when the government says, His Excellency the President says he's putting his presidency on the line, he meant it. Okay? When you go there and you see the resilience and the creativity and innovation of the people, you have to come back and assess it and then come up with better things. It used to be that we thought that command and control can solve the problem. Command and control, environmental laws, you just issued fiat, you send the soldiers and the police in, and then you arrest people. For environmental issues and people who have lived all their lives on these resources, it will not work. So you do a bit of that. You do a bit more of education. You do a bit more of reclamation. You do a bit more of letting them mine so that you can regulate it. That's why we have the community mining schemes. Okay? So to say that the president has done that, I think we should be mindful of this. Let's rather talk on effectiveness of what is being done and what we can add to it. And so far, I haven't heard anything from His Excellency, the President, John Mahama, that this is what we will do when we come to solve this problem. And I think if we make it a national issue, then all parties come in on the stage or anywhere, we say, this is what we will do to solve this problem. And then we will be gaining traction in that regard.
I'll tell you something.
Now,
I'll tell you something before you go ahead.
Yes.
And this is not the NDC talking. I've heard the Ghana Integrity Initiatives who are saying that the president's rhetorics do not match up to his actions. So basically what they're saying is that the president says all the nice things, but in terms of making sure that the real concrete actions that ought to be taken to make sure that Galamsey is fought, it's not being seen. Okay, this is not the NDC, this is GII, unless of course we have issues with GII as well. And I'm asking this question because in all the things you've said, the president has lived long enough in this country to know, I'm sure, a lot of things that you've said. I'm sure the president has, even if he doesn't know, he has people around him who have told him about how complex this whole Galamsey matter is. But like you rightly said, the same president then says, I'm still prepared to put my presidency on the line. So for somebody who is prepared to put their presidency on the line, when you get or you chance upon any piece of information that makes the fight against Galamsey a difficult one, your posture and your reaction and your response must speak to the kinds of things you're saying. He talks about, in fact, in the response from the president, he says, the president's commitment to fighting illegal small-scale mining or illegal Galamsey is unassailable. It's essentially to say is unflinching, is unwavering.
Yes.
But then you have a report. And you see, what has made this very important is because we're talking about somebody who is coming from within, who says, yes, I agree with you that you want to fight Galamsey, but this is the reason why the fight is difficult. These are the guys who are making it difficult for Galamsey to be fought. So don't you agree that it is not enough to just say, I'm committed? When you chance upon information that you could have done something about, let's even assume that some of the things that have been said are mere hearsay and mere allegations. But there are also some things which are facts.
Okay.
So, in fact, I've heard Charles Beatty on another platform who has actually confirmed and verified and validated some of the things that have been said. So it cannot be that entire report is hearsay. So it is these kinds of things that makes it difficult for people to actually believe in the president when he says, I'm really committed to fighting illegal small scale. I don't want to get the point I'm making. In any case, this whole thing is going to come from leadership. Somebody must take the bull by the horn.
I am getting the point.
Everything starts from leadership.
I'm getting the point you're making.
Right.
You see, for me, if I read this report,
yes,
there's very little I can go to.
In terms of substance?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Because, you see, I would have wished that it had come from the interministerial committee
Right.
All right. I would have wished because.
Okay, so you belong to the school of thought who feel that even though he's a chair,
yes,
the fact that he did not consult the other
not even consulting. I'm saying that a report. So this is landed on a desk of the chief of staff.
Yes.
All right. As to whether it went to the president, we have no idea about that. Okay. Now, I would have wished that.
That's a very important point.
Yes.
Do you honestly think this report didn't go to the president or didn't get to the president?
That's not the point I'm making.
No.
That's not the point I'm making.
No, do you know why this is important?
Yes.
The president has been attacked and lampooned.
Yes.
For keeping, and see, people don't say president. They say the president has kept this report for
that's a decision I'm making.
Over 2 years.
That's the decision I'm making. You see?
So that's what my question is relevant.
That's the reason why I am saying that when we adopt the blaming, the fact that he has clandestinely taken positive acts that endures the benefit of party bigwigs in quote,
right,
we are missing the point.
Sure.
Totally. Okay. I would have wished that this had come from the IMCIM as a report, not him, because, you see, from a legal point of view, you have mentioned some names. All you are saying about Gabi, for instance, is that he plays a call. There's nothing on record. And speaking on this point too, Gabi has gone to court. He has a right to go to court.
Right.
I've looked at the
rate.
The lawyer that filed is a very, very, very...
One Dr. Jakum, isn't it?
No.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Great lawyer.
Okay.
Great lawyer.
Okay.
My problem with some of these things is that, you see, I am, and that's why I can't even say anything about Kwakubako, because I am part of Kenneth Japon's team.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And that matter went to court, and Kenneth Japan lost at the initial stage.
Yeah.
And then it's been appealed. The decision is coming out on the 13th of May. I don't want to make any comment on it, no matter how I feel about the whole issue. All right? I would have wished that, and again, Professor Frimpong Boateng was our key witness in this matter against Kwaku Baku. So I would have wished that he'd have come to court. There are pieces of evidence to show that the GNC Alaska was engaged in Galamsey. And that is what I want to see more that incriminates the names is mentioned so that any person can pick this and go into action. That's a topic. That is not to say that there are no teething problems with the fight against Galamsey. That's a different topic.
Okay.
As to the content of this report, I think there could have been more.
Okay.
Because he even said that there's Galamsey going on in the president's
backyard.
Yes, at Chebi, which are sitting to it, and he had to send people to go there. And then the press went there, and he didn't see anything. And so the fact that Gabi plays a call to him, my colleague here is saying that it is influence peddling. I do not know how.
But look at the scenario. There was the name of the gentleman who's actually on the case.
Yes.
It's escaped me. If you can remind me.
Edem.
Yes, Edem was the guy who was on the case.
Yes.
It looks like Edem hit a brick wall, and so decided to come to Gabi.
But he works in a firm, all right? He works in a law firm where Honorable Dobnakaine is the head.
Right.
If he's a partner in the firm, if he's doing something and he's hit a brick wall, he has to go to his senior.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's the brief of the firm.
Right.
Okay, the bottom line is the individual is handling it.
Right.
All right, he's the one who's engaging. It's a brief of the firm.
So
the fact that he went to the senior and the senior plays a call, I do not see. If you are going to say probably he shouldn't have accepted that brief, that's a different topic. But the fact that he plays the call, I have defended cocaine dealers. I have defended those who were dealing with marijuana and several other people. It is my job. The first thing I will do if I see inconsistency.
But you are not Gabi.
No, I don't need to be Gabi or not.
No, but
Gabi is a lawyer first. He
Yes.
happens to be the cousin of the president.
Yes.
He hasn't taken any government appointment. He's a lawyer. He's acting as a lawyer. He has to do his job. His law firm must thrive. There are those who went into government, their law firm thrived, they came back to their law firm.
But the optics.
All right?
But
They are
the
not
optics.
saying no, we cannot dwell on optics and so I am saying I have defended cocaine dealers. Does it mean that I now dwell in the, or I sit, the Bible says, sit in the seat of scoffing? Do I sit in the seat of cocaine dealers?
He's
no.
lawyer for a company, a mining company, which the likes of Charles Bisu, secretary to IMSIM, right?
Yes.
Have actually confirmed when involved in illegal.
Remember, no, wait. Remember, my client, Kennedy Japan, sued the same firm. All right? And so they exactly. They sued us for defamation. We have proven in court, me sitting here, we have proven in court that they engaged in Galamsey, and they lost. I could give you
But that's just to confirm.
Precisely. So you cannot say
they have
that
been involved in small illegal mining.
Yes, and it's and they lost. But you cannot say that because they are engaging illegally, they cannot have a lawyer. You cannot say that.
I'll come back to you on that.
You cannot say that.
It's a very interesting.
Every single thing they have done has to be wrong. Yes.
Okay, hold on a second.
Let's draw that distinction.
No, hold on a second. Let me go to Dr. Solomon Osu. Let me go to Dr. Solomon Osu. Doc, I hope that we have a clearer line now for us to proceed with our conversation. We don't intend to make it a long one because time is not our best friend. But Dr. Solomon Osu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think it's been sorted now. Doc, you have been on this crusade for a very long time. You have had engagement with some media platforms or some media organizations where you've talked about this small-scale mining, and you've complained and said that we will not win this fight against small-scale illegal mining if we do not identify persons who have become obstacles, and that if we don't do that, it's just a bloody waste of time and resources. When you heard about this Frimpong Boateng thing, I don't know how you reacted to it. Did you go like, oh, you are Samekaye? I don't know how you reacted to when you heard about this report.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me use this opportunity to extend my regards to your cherished viewers and listeners from all over the world. You've already answered my initial opinion about the whole matter. You see, like you rightly said, I've been crusading against these Galamsey issues and the fact that some top government officials and top MPP executives are involved in this fight. And you will recall that in New Jersey, that was September 2019, I told the president on his face that some of your appointees and MPP executives are involved in Galamsey. He said it was a hearsay. Now, this report is coming from the chairman of the committee that he established, an ad hoc committee that he established in March 2017 and dissolved in January 2021, 4 years. There is a saying that if the crocodile comes from beneath the water and tells you that the crab's grandmother is dead, believe it, because the crocodile sits in the water with the crab. Now, the president appointed 10 cabinet ministers and made Professor Frimpong Boateng the chairman of the committee. So for Professor Frimpong Boateng to come up with all these revelations, I think is something that we shouldn't just disregard. However, or somebody say nonetheless, the professor came up with this report after he had been relieved from office. My brother, if you look at the last page of the report, it's dated 19th March 2021. That was 2 years after he had been sacked from the Interministerial Committee and he had been sacked as a Minister for Environment, Science and Technology. Because it was dissolved, the Interministerial Committee was dissolved on the 10th of January 2021.
and the report is 19th of March 2021. The big question is, why didn't Professor Frimpong Boateng reveal all these secrets, frustrations, obstacles that he faced to the president when he was in office? Because he was a cabinet minister and he was meeting the president every day on cabinet meetings for briefings.
But Solomon, how do you know he didn't talk to the president about the frustrations he's encountering in fighting Galamsey? How do you know he didn't do that? Because you were not privy to the conversations that takes place between him and the president when they're alone and they're talking.
You know that the majority leader, Honorable Oseche Mensah-Bonsu,
you mean the majority leader? The majority leader, you mean?
Yeah, majority leader.
Okay.
Yes, and also the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs. He has come up to question Professor Frimpong Boateng that he didn't make all these revelations during cabinet meetings. Right? I was not there, but he was there. My brother, I think, in my view, the professor and the former minister did the right thing at the wrong time. And it has made his report irrelevant, in my view. And if you read the first page, he stated that upon request or order from the chief of staff, meaning if the chief of staff had not requested for a report, a progress report, he wouldn't have written all this. Meanwhile, it happened when you were the chairman of the committee. I think the professor has messed up big time. Why am I saying that? The president put his presidency on the line and made you the chairman. So if all these were going on and you couldn't come out, why are you telling me now? What should I do? Right? I think at this point, Ghanaians will have different or divergent opinions on this. Let's put all this aside and look at the way forward. In my humble opinion, the president should take cues from the report, take the bull by the horn, and take the necessary action. I think the president should refer the report to the recognized investigative institutions in Ghana for them to conduct serious inquisitions into the matter. And after that, we should act on the recommendations from the investigative body. Unlike the Ayawasu Wogon matter that he issued a white paper to disregard more than 80% of the recommendations. All of us have interest in this because this is a national discourse. It is an issue, a critical issue of national concern. My brother, you shouldn't politicize this Galamsey. I was happy to hear Lawyer Kingsley saying he was raised in Kappa. I was raised in Obuasi. And I know that small-scale mining operations have been going on for decades. The mechanized small-scale mining started in the 2000s, if you know, because I was raised in a mining town as well. Initially, it was artisanal mining where they were using rudimentary tools to operate. When I was in secondary school, during vacations, I was doing Galamsey. I won't hide it. I was a Galamseyer when I was in secondary school in the 90s. I completed 1996. And that time, we were not using the excavators, dozers, the heavy equipment. Now, because of the invasion of the foreigners into the small-scale mining sector, especially the Chinese guys, the Turkish guys, and all those people, Indians, all over, 13 out of the 16 regions. Initially it was Obuasi, Tafa, then some part of Central region. Now, 13 out of the 16 regions, small-scale mining is operated there. And it's a serious, large economic venture for the people living in the mining community. My brother, I can confidently tell you that if you go to any mining community now, the political leaders, the local political leaders, both MPP, NDC, or I can add all the political parties, their leaders, either they are licensed small-scale miners, illegal miners, galamseyers, or gold dealers. It's not about MPP or NDC. We shouldn't politicize this. All of them do it. My brother, the big issue is now that it has been transformed from using just rudimentary tools to sophisticated equipment, what is the government doing to address the issue, the negative impacts associated with illegal mining? It is difficult for any political party to solve this Galamsey issue, but we can find solutions to the negative impacts so that they can operate in environmentally friendly manner. That is what the government wants to do, and that is what the president tasked the interministerial committee to come up with the methodology. As I'm talking to you now, Ghana doesn't have standard operating procedures for the small-scale miners to follow to ensure water protection and land protection. That is a fact. So this issue is something that should revitalize all our energies for us to engage the right people who have the requisite knowledge and experience to help any government, not NPP, NDC, any government to address this problem. If we can put aside politicization and tackle the substantive issue on the ground, like the water pollution and the land degradation, I think we can make some headway. But as it is now, the president seems like defending some of the miners, and looking at the way he put the report aside and all that, he is not really fighting the Galamsey as he's portraying, in my view. Let me make this clear. We have licensed small-scale mining, illegal mining, that is unlicensed. The Galamseyers, now they have community mining. All of them pollute water bodies in the Great Land. If you like, send your reporters to a Galamsey site, a licensed small-scale mining site, and then community mining site. You will see that they all use the same methodology, the same procedure to mine the ore and extract the gold. Nobody is doing anything different. They are all doing the same thing. The only difference is that one is licensed, one is not licensed.
Okay, all right.
That's the only difference.
Okay, Doc, thank you. Thank you very much for your time. I wish we could go on and on and on, but time is not our best ally. Koku Mauli Nanegbe sends me a message. Says, Moro, President Kufuor, I believe, is more than complicit in the Galamsey issues, particularly because of all the reports and complaints Professor Frimpong Boateng made to him about these appointees who had gained notoriety in Galamsey and aiding same were all ignored by him. Parting here, I remember. Let's all remember that President Kufuor has publicly stated that Professor Frimpong Boateng is the man of integrity. He thinks that's important. This one here says that, good morning, Moro. We have a problem at Spintex. The TMA collected rubbish from the gutter and dumped it in front of our gate. As I'm texting now, I have an old lady who's 85 years and goes for checkups every month because she's asthmatic. Please, her checkup time is due and we cannot go out with her. Our cars are in the house, nowhere to pass. That's very important. That's very serious. I'll try and look into that for you. Hello, Mr. Holmes. You remember that the president Ronaldo once upon a time told us that fish rot from the head from the head. Okay, who is the head of the presidency in the current admission in Ghana? It's Nanado, of course. So how can he fight against illegal mining in Ghana? God save our mother Ghana. Seniko from Takwa, Western Region, says, good morning. I'm watching you inside prisons barracks. It says, keep the fire burning. Thank you very much. Good morning, sir. I'm watching you live inside prison. Okay, so sorry. Good morning. JDM said he would allow people to do Galamsey. What is the lawyer saying? Just mischief. Johnny sends that message. I don't recall the former president saying he would allow people to do Galamsey, unless, of course, you have any contrary evidence. We've got to make sure that we're factual about some of the things that we say. GM, the minister is serious. Why did he tell Ghanaians a long time ago? Noah from New York, shy man. Mr. Ho, there are ample explicit evidence that discloses the conduct of scenario of the latter. This is a very long message. Look, your messages are very long, and I've got about 50-something messages. I don't know how I'm going to read this, but Kamaluddin from Kamaluddin Amasaman Bruni sent message. It says that Moro, Professor Frimpong Boateng's report captured that there are far more NDC members engaged in Galamsey activities than the MPP members, and I would like to find out if the NDC agree or disagree with him on that. Greetings to the hardworking Honorable Ambrose Derry, Minister for Interior and MP for Nandom. Those of you whose messages I couldn't read, I'm so sorry. It's 9:53. We've got 7 minutes to wrap up. I'm going to split that between my two resource persons for them to give me a conclusion. So what do we do with this report? I mean, I've heard the NDC say bipartisan. The Roxanne Dafiamakwo has petitioned Shraj. Shraj says they establish a premier facie case, and then if it's established, they can take from there. But how do you think we can concretely deal with this report? Martin, yeah. Right, Kinsley thinks the report is empty. Let's
when the Sputnik V probe. Yeah. When the Sputnik V issue came in, there were a lot of matters that came which allowed for a probe. Eventually, we got some institutional reform measures and what have you to take. I strongly believe that if Akufo-Addo has, with respect, any credibility left, this is the time for him to allow for a bipartisan probe into this whole Galamsey thing. Because you see, the impact of Galamsey on the environment
is grave.
Look, just two different areas. If you move from, say, Atimpoku to the Volta region, Oti, right to Damanku, look at all the water bodies there. Very clean. Just transition to the other part where Galamsey activities are there and see the state of our water bodies. And that is our livelihood. Look, I know people who grew up around the Birim River, and they will tell you, in those days, they were drinking from the Birim. I have family members who are in places like Triple Praso, Bimpoeja, and the rest. They'll tell you, it's the pra that they do everything with. Today, you can't do anything with those water bodies. Why? How did we get here? So maybe then 1 year left in Akufo-Addo's presidency, you would want to redeem his credibility by allowing for a bipartisan probe into this whole thing. So that, you see, the Frimpong Boateng report becomes a smoking gun.
Right. We have just 2 minutes to wrap up.
Okay, this is unfortunate. I only have 2 minutes. As I said, this doesn't really give details that you cannot go to arrest people based on this.
Right.
So the appropriate thing to be done is to refer this to the CID.
Right.
So that they will call those whose names I've mentioned and do proper investigation. Because, you see, illegal mining is a criminal offense. Okay?
Right.
Some attract custodial sentences, some attract fines, hefty fines. So we should attach that seriousness to it.
Right.
Then we should make sure that the actors behind the scenes, those are the people who should be attacking,
right,
and not His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, even though the backstops were him. And so where we think he must hurry up to do things, we must do that. But then who are the directors of GNC Alaska? Have we heard their names being mentioned? Are people calling their names out? Nothing is happening. when a court of competent jurisdiction has determined that you are engaged in illegal mining. Do you see? So those are the actors that we must go after. Illegal mining has been happening for thousands of years. When did we get to the state of the picture behind you? When did we get here? It is worrying. So we must do something about this rather than politicizing it. Let's take the necessary steps. And so if Parliament has to probe it, let Parliament probe it, not the President allow it. Parliament is their
So we should go beyond the President's opinion that is mere catalogue of personal grievances.
This is a mere catalogue because I can't do anything with this.
Okay.
But this, as he said, the smoking gun. Let's go further.
Okay.
You cannot say Kojo Opon Nkrumah organized. To what end?
Yeah.
You can't say there's happening behind the president. To what end?
Okay.
You see, let's do the proper thing.
Lawyer
Let's
Kingsley
save Madagana.
Lawyer Kingsley Mwakwabo, it is always a pleasure having you. And I would have wished that we could have him here every Saturday, but I'm told that he's been, I'm not going to say it, but as and when he's available, he will join us. I want to thank you very much for your time. Well, we should one. At the right time, we'll speak to him. Lawyer Godwin Edizi Tamaklo is also a member of the NDC's legal team and a member of the communications team as well. I also want to thank Dr. Solomon Owusu, who is an international mining consultant, also Dr. Ken Ashigbe, who is the convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Small-Scale Mining or Illegal Mining. My name is Audu Moro. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.